Saturday and Sunday off from work. So, so yeah. How does it feel to you?
It is nice when the days are getting even with the nights, there is a relaxation of the temperature and of the burning sun, and the nature is recovering, and it is better. It is much, much better. It feels
Yeah,
like, yes, that one can rest, and it is so good. It is so good. I'm very happy. Looking forward for every
yeah,
hour, for every day. Yes.
yeah. It sounds like you were kind of cooped up because of the heat for most of the summer, I guess.
Yes.
So now
Yes.
you probably can get out a little bit more, walk and enjoy being
Yes.
outside, I suppose.
Yeah. True.
I
Can look at a
suppose you
tree.
get
Yes.
you get down to the waters and walk on the beach and stuff like this.
Yes, precisely. Yesterday I could take a walk and look at the trees because before this, I mean, yesterday it was impossible to go out during the light hours. So suddenly you meet nature again. So it's a renewal meeting. It's very exciting to meet nature again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I drive by these goats every once in a while. They're not too far away from where we live. I decided after our class the other day to actually stop and see them, and that was fun. They were way over on the other side of the. It's kind of they've got a sign called the Goofy Goat Farm is what they call it now, and they've been kind of developing it, encouraging people to be able to come and pet the goats, and you get right in there with them. Nobody else was around, and they were way over on the other side of the land, and they saw me, and they just kind of the whole herd just kind of came my way, and so then I came back yesterday with some different items from my garden for them, like some overgrown cucumbers and some overdone sweet corn and a few things that, and they were nibbling on it and eating them as feeding different ones that were more interested to eat it than others. Yeah, so that was one way of connecting with nature, I thought. So,
It is beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It is 2 days ago, after I think you sent this picture about the goat, uh, a poem.
yeah,
Yes, a poem was coming after it. It's like Kashmir children.
really?
Yes, Kashmir children, or the children of Kashmir. Kashmir is a region in India, and there is a special sheep there that makes special wool called Kashmir. This is a very, very thin wool and refined wool.
Oh, they make sweaters out of that, don't they?
Yes, Kashmir. So it came in the poem as Kashmir children or the children of Kashmir, but this is interesting concept that came through the poem that and I thought about this the relation to the goat visit that you had and the relation to Yom Kippur, as Fernando mentioned, one goat goes to the wilderness, another goes to the temple, and all of this, I don't know, it just brought this concept
It
of
caused you to write a poem, huh?
yes, yes, the children of
Wow.
Kashmir, yes, yes, yes. It's a
Oh,
concept. It's a concept because what does it mean? Because it's not children that were born geographically in the region of Kashmir in India. It's just a concept in the mind. The one who maybe I'll read it for you as a podcast and translate it to English. And yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's a very refined wool, and it is so expensive, and it is very, very
yeah. I've
expensive.
always heard of cashmere sweaters.
Yes, Yes, because until they make the way from India through the Silk Road until it used to arrive to Europe, and only aristocrats could afford such a sweater or even one scarf, because the fiber is so thin, it is thinner than human hair, like 16 micron. Later, only after I complete the poem, I look what I write, because it comes to me from the unconscious, so I don't touch it. Only when the poem is finished, I look, what is it? There are names, places, flowers, or trees, and then after it sits, I look, what does it mean? Because I don't interfere the flow. So, yes.
Fascinating. You're on a roll with poems. You wrote, you published a book, and lately a new book, and I want to just congratulate you on getting through that journey,
Thank
that
you.
book. And isn't it 126 pages?
Yes,
Did I see that right?
yes.
So I thought that was, reminding of the Lord in that way, the 1 to 26, in a sense, the tetragrammaton, or the
Yes.
4 letters adding up to 26. I thought of that when I saw the number of pages. Oh,
It just came
yeah,
it came to be. I did not plan
yeah.
this. It just came to be like,
I was wondering if you were intentional or if it just
no.
came out like that way. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then you've done some podcasts with your poems, like translating it to English. You've done a couple of them, haven't you?
Yes, I did. I did of the current book, The Poetry of the Well, and there's another
Yeah.
one which I'm currently writing. And few of those new also I read, and because when I hear it, that it wants to be how do you say, it makes itself heard. It wants to be heard in the world, and then I follow this, and then I record it. Yes, because it's
So
interesting. Yes, yes.
you've done 2 podcasts with your reading your poems in English,
There are more
or
than
more?
there are more. There are more. I did not
You've done
count,
more than that.
but since Felipe asked me around June to maybe you would like to read the first, I think the first, let's say, PDF I published in the Hebrew in June or in the end of May. Last
Mhm.
Pentecost was coming the first, let's say, cycle. And then Felipe
Mhm.
said, maybe you can read for us. So I did a few podcasts reading those poems. And then I noticed that it continues. I mean, the flow continues. So I kept writing, and then it became a book. And they keep coming, so I keep writing. And sometimes I read them as a podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've caught a couple of them. It's very good. I appreciate you doing that for us.
It is interesting, Jeff, because like for last couple of years we were just having these frontal classes with a whiteboard, like cognitive, like frontal learning. And suddenly, when there was a pause and I stopped using the whiteboard and writing and looking at paintings and text, suddenly they came from there, because what happens is we don't operate so much the frontal part, so things are coming from there. So, and they also want to be heard, because what is operating when we see a board or we go outside, the eyes are working, they process information, and we are processing frontal information. Just what we see, the eye can catch as, like we say, linear, because the eyes, this is how they work. But the whole the rest, I mean, a person looks at the tree, so he sees the tree because he is focusing on the tree. But we don't notice that also we are standing in the middle of the sphere, and around us there are many, many things. But since you're focusing on the tree or on the whiteboard, many things are happening at the same time. And they also have a voice. But since we are focusing on, so to speak, directly with the eyes forward, the object or the whiteboard or class or so, so we're missing the sphere, the round sphere, and the round sphere also wants to be heard. So this is why they come, because if they're silent, I mean, nothing is going on frontally, suddenly like arrows or like streams are coming from there all the time. Because if I'm occupied with preparing a class, which occupies nights and days, just the frontal mind is preparing the conversation, everything, the board and cards and everything, and the sources and mathematical entries, and so I'm occupied. The process is occupied. And nothing can come out from there, because there's like the big brother is there and speaking, and the little one is just a little shepherd in the back end. It's very silent. And also the little shepherd wants to say something, so we let them be.
Yeah. So you gave the opportunity for the little shepherd to speak, and you're getting poetry from poetry has been coming
Yes.
from that source.
Yes.
It's very, very creative, and it's amazing to hear about your experience that way too. So now you're doing a little different approach.
Yes.
From the whiteboards and stuff like this.
Yes. And in this way, Jeff, more inner content can come out, because the eyes of us are not, let's say, occupying. Not me as the one who streams, because I have to handle many screens, many buttons, many cables.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little TV studio.
A lot to manage, or a lot of multitasking all at once, with the buttons and trying to keep everything functioning or flowing. I could see how that would be hard to do. I've never tried to do what you're doing like that. And I could see, because you got a lot of different people with microphones and different things to talk, and so I could see how that might distract you from being able to tune into what the Spirit's saying, perhaps. Not that it has to be a hindrance completely, because I know the Holy Spirit guides and has guided, and the conversations have incredible the way they flow. But I could see what you're saying, though.
Yes, I don't know how it will continue, but I just live with you the unknown. So at the moment, this is what is happening, and this is what it fits to the sound that comes from the universe. So I would like to be loyal to what is coming. So this is what is coming. So we are with it, not just me, all of us, we are with it. And just to be with what comes. Because who knows what the day will bring. At the moment, this is how things are.
Yeah. Kind of doing what you call a deep dive.
Yes.
With the intention of going deeper in the conversation, or deeper. What do you mean by a deep dive?
When let's say the content is not presented, or there is no topic which is presented on a board or on a screen, what happens is usually when there's a text or a card or painting and people are able to see it, the eyes are going out, our intention is going out there. The eyes are working to locate what is there, to decode it, to read, take it mathematically. There are many ways. But when there's no, let's say, card or text or few text there on a board or on a screen, seemingly, there is no topic, because there is no title, Genesis 2:22. There isn't. There isn't any painting by Rembrandt. There isn't. So, in a way, we're just asked to listen to what is coming from our heart.
And that's
So-
the deep dive.
Yes.
To listen to what's coming from our heart, that's the deep dive.
Yes.
Okay. So what's coming from our heart today then?
What is coming from your heart, or from Eniola's heart, or from Felipe's heart, or if there's a YouTube listener at the moment, what is coming? This is the question. Eniola, Felipe, Jeff, what is coming from your heart at the moment?
Greetings.
Good.
Deity. Yes, greetings, Felipe and Jeff and Fernando
Greetings.
is here, and all of the other friends. So happy to be with you all again in Deep Dive Dialogues Dalet. I have to say, Etty, that this work, I'm very happy that I've been able to join it at this stage. It seems to me that the frontal work, the work of being on the whiteboard, the work of diving in the texts, listening to the voice of the sages, all of the work that we have done to give our conscious minds a language for the numinous. When that work is done, it's done in order to build a bridge between the ineffable and our conscious minds. And if that bridge is built, and we now have a language for the ineffable, then the ineffable can speak to us in a way that we can understand. When we take our attention inside, we can experience the ineffable. But when we come back outside, how is that translated? How can that be communicated in a way that can even be understood? I think this is what this deep tradition is about, giving us tools to express the ineffable. Not that it can be contained, but to point to the direction. And this is true not just for this deep tradition that we have gathered around, but all such vehicles. Many times that I sit in class, I see so many parallels to so many traditions that I have also become immersed in, even down to the silliest of details. The graphic that we have for Deep Dive Dialogues, that image of being underwater and the very dynamics of the snail on the right side and the fish on the left side. In the Yoruba traditional religion, the symbol of the snail is associated with the divinity called Obatala, which means the king of the white cloth. and there is an association with the spiral stage of the galaxy in formation, Hagilgalim. There is an association with light, and you know, I am new to your work, but I've seen how Weinreb gives the schemata of the root story of the Bible and creation, and how the right side is associated with light, and then the left side with water. We have the fish. In the traditional religion of Ifa, there is a praise name for the divinity that is the personification of wisdom. And one of that praise name is Ifa Olokun Asorodayo in Yoruba. This is Ifa, the expansion of the wisdom. In the realm of Olokun, Oku means sea, the ocean. Olokun therefore is the owner of the ocean. Asorodayo means the one who your concerns, fears, and worries end in joy. And this divinity is said to reside in the depth of the ocean, which we may treat as the depth of our subconscious. So it makes me very happy to be with a group accessing the divine wisdom through our deep dive, and I look forward to that two-way conversation. We get silent, and the heart has the turn to express. In Buddhism, again, I spent many years training in Buddhism, and we call this the still, small voice, little brother as you call it. Maybe like Yaakov, the one hiding inside. And I'm really, really happy, Etty, that now that we have a language that we are all being used as a vehicle through which this work is being expressed. Thank you for your time. I look forward to listening to more.
Thank you, Neola. Felipe?
Hello, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good evening, good morning. I'm happy to hear all of you, and nice to be here, Eti. Really, really nice, and I am just overwhelmed with this gathering. I'm happy that I have opportunity to listen to Jeff again, and Eniola brought some really deep inputs. I'm glad to hear about this Yoruba tradition. I had no, I don't know this tradition, but there is a lot of influence on Brazilian Afro culture. So it's really beautiful to hear from his knowledge. So I thank you again. And Eti, two things came while I was hearing you and Jeff speaking at the beginning. One is about this. It's related actually with this language Eniola mentioned, that we have to develop this frontal mind, this intellectual, let's say, or rational thinking, and this is how is the word? It's necessary for further developments of the unconscious mind, and for this realm of poetry, of art, or even the spirit speaking. let's say we have to build this bridge, we have to build this deva, this ark, the vessel to contain the light. This is what we learned in many sessions. We discussed about the vehicle, the Merkava, the ark, the vessel to contain light. And it made me remember about, I guess it was in the ancient Greece that, let's say, to begin to approach wisdom, one had to have like 40 years old, so he could begin to study and to develop this spiritual realm inside within him. And I was just thinking, because we have to learn all these things, these practical things, language, mathematics, a lot of let's say informations and knowledge that we have to build inside oneself. And after this is let's say it's prepared, it is barely settled, let's say, settled down in our hearts and now in our minds, we have this opportunity to let it go, let everything go, and make room for an inner perspective, as you are living now this realm of poetry that it's coming. But if you didn't have an earlier knowledge of language, of culture, maybe these poems couldn't arise in your heart. So I am also really happy about it. It's a different approach, and I feel comfortable with it, because there is no pressure, there is no rule, only to express our heart and to have this siach, these conversations. That's what I'm feeling right now, Eti. And it's very good to see, to hear what all of us have inside, and together. It's beautiful to see people gathering to talk good stuff. That's really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Jeff?
It's good to hear Felipe express all of that. I really appreciate everything he said there. Good to hear from you, Felipe, and connect this way. And thank you for encouraging people the way that you've done, encouraging Eddie and other people to share and to participate in conversation.
Thank you, Jeff. Each and every one of us has in its heart a well. And if we don't occupy ourselves with daily mundane stuff, there's a lot going on there. So just to let it come, because the heart is there all the time. It's in the center. It is all the time there, days and night, even when we rest or sleep, whatever we do. And the heart knows. And what comes to the heart comes to the heart. Yes,
Eti,
yes, Felipe.
and this is it is quite amazing because in our sessions throughout these years, uh, well, I learned so much. You know, it's I can remember even the first time I entered the session on another platform that you used, and I began taking notes. I have a bunch of notes from the earlier the early classes, and at some point I couldn't I wouldn't take more notes because it was so many so many things to, you know. I began just to try to listen and to stay connected, and sometimes this connection was so intense that I felt like being in heaven. You know, it's really, really. There were some moments. It's I cannot express because there were so many, and I feel happy that we are that we managed to stay together, and in many people came and went, and in a way I also feel connected, even though we are not like in sessions together, like Ruth and many friends that let their marks and their feelings. It's a beautiful journey, and also I'm really happy because we can express it in this in art, in music, in poetry. And what I would like to say is that this knowledge, more frontal, it's beautiful. It's really, really cool. It's amazing. We connect so much, and but I guess this is what's happening now. It's a kind of balance, because we have to rest from this more hard knowledge, like numbers, like specific words, and it's like the brain needs a rest, needs to take air and water, and then the heart speaks in a way that that fills everything with love. It's different. Love is it's softer, so it's really cool to be here, Eti, you know, because I feel a true connection, and that's all about that what's all about. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Jeff?
yeah, I didn't say anything there, but yeah, just I say amen to everything that Felipe was just saying there. We we learn so much and have learned so much along the way. And I remember trying to take notes too, and then just kind of stopped. I stopped really taking notes because I could get behind for listening or concentrating on what was happening next. I didn't want to miss anything. So, and then I found that what we talked about, of course, we could listen to again later when it was recorded the way it's been being recorded, and so you kind of pick up some details the second and third time listening that surprised you that were in the conversation that you didn't even realize until listening more than once. And also then not even listening to the conversation, but just several days down the road or something, things that we talked about would reemerge or build on themselves with additional thoughts, additional truth. Uh, and actually, I guess this has been going on 4 years. Is that what you said, Eddie?
Yes, yes.
So like things that we talked about 4 years ago still have the impact and stuff that I say, conversations that I have with people, and Bible study I do. Look into the Bible, and there's some new light or some new um, understanding based on things we've talked about, especially uh, in the realm of the Hebrew language itself. This was something that when I was in Bible college, I passed on studying Hebrew. I had the professor, Dr. Mark Mangano, for other classes. We did the Book of Amos. It was his thesis when he was getting his doctorate. That book, but I thoroughly enjoyed his instruction. I enjoyed him as a human being. We went out to lunch, just the two of us, to have a personal conversation on some things. But I didn't take the Hebrew class because I got afraid of language due to taking Greek. And for whatever reason, I just found that I wasn't strong on remembering languages. I would study and learn it and forget everything I studied and learned, and then have to restudy it for the next test and everything. And you get further and further behind if it doesn't stick. So anyway, going through that, then now it was like years later, it was like I knew how important the Hebrew language was to the Old Testament, to understanding it. And when you share from the Bible and with people and so on, invariably you're going to dive into Hebrew a little bit here and there. But when I encountered you with all that you know with the Hebrew language, you brought also the gematria understanding with it, and you introduced us to Weinreb's book, Roots of the Bible. And all of a sudden, like, the Hebrew language, what I found found out it wasn't intimidating. It wasn't hard to understand. I certainly don't have a mastery of it at this point, but I've because of the class and the discussions, it came as non-threatening. It came as beautiful. It came as something very attractive to be able to understand and appreciate it and grow, continue to grow with it. So I'm just kind of echoing what Felipe says here, that and what the other fella a little bit earlier was saying, that we have a great appreciation for what the Lord has done and what He's doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here with you and to speak from the heart and just to be, not having to operate systems. And it is safe. It is safe space just to be and to speak the truth and just to be. And this is a great friendship, because a person does not need to bring proof or show anything. He just can't just be like a tree or like a flower in the field. And this is beautiful, because also when I noticed that when I'm not just, let's say, focused for producing like several lessons or podcasts per week, I also notice what is happening around with in the spheres around. Because if you focus for a project, for a class, for a podcast, everything is like linear. Everything A brings to B to C. You record, you think, you record, you edit, and then you have to issue it, you have to make a card, and so there's a way to go. So, but you have to follow many steps, linear steps that will bring a person from just speaking to a podcast that will be heard somewhere there in the world. And when you do this so intensively, podcast and teaching as well, and writing, of course, all the time writing, emails, and so there are different platforms during the years, it just go frontal. You are like an arrow out there. And now I feel like in Joseph, like that you return to the center, like you don't send your arrows through the bow, but you pull your forces, intentions inwards. And then you notice there's a beautiful universe there, and the sunset is rising and the seasons are changing, and we evidence this beautiful marvel of life being here, and how those moments are so precious, but we can, be thankful to those moments because we experience them with friends. There is appreciation of nature in one's person's heart when he walks next to the sea or next to a tree. But to be able to experience or to express the marvel of this is constant miracle that we're having. It's a constant miracle.
It really is.
And it gives a lot of awe to life. there's a lot of how do you say, respect, because we're so. I feel temporal here, like a guest, and we come here for a while, and then we move on,
Hmm.
and every
Mhm.
moment is sacred, and because those conversations are also sacred, because life is happening out there in every country, in every state. There's like, this is what is happening outside there in the. I believe it's not so much the same. I mean, I believe that even if we live in different continents, in different countries, life there, the mechanical life, are similar wherever we
Yeah,
are.
really
But
is.
yes, and suddenly and today we had a very intensive morning with papers, and suddenly to come home and to discover this is a hidden kingdom, that soon we're gonna share this hidden kingdom with friends. This is a great revelation, because it doesn't matter what happens out there in the kingdom of mechanical life or paperwork, offices. It doesn't matter. You can close the door and you can sit with a friend. And this is because to sit with a friend is not for granted, because there's a validation, because all of us, how do you say, we have appreciation, and not just to celebrate, but to gather here and to be able to share this respect to life. So it creates a magnitude. It's not just one person appreciate life, because other in the same room or in the same space, they appreciate life too, and it gets multiple, and the appreciation grows in the heart, and it means a lot to me, because it's not out there, it's the appreciation for life each and every one of us has inside of his heart, is being, how do you say, just being here among us. And I feel the heart can flourish inside. It can open in itself inside, because if we go, let's say, on the street and there's like tension of traffic or honkings, all kinds of things, the heart also responds. We are like little mammals. Cat will respond to sun. Today in the morning we were at a bus station. They were experiencing bombs. There is a place which manufacture arsenal, how do you say, army equipment,
Artillery.
how do you say, bombs and missiles, how do you call this industry? Weapon industry.
Weapon industry.
Yes, and we were standing at the station. Suddenly, moment before the bus arrived, just a bomb and hit the ground, and all the birds were flying, and people just, what is it? Is it coming? We didn't know if it's coming from Lebanon, like as attack.
Oh,
The Israelis are, how do you say, testing their own ability to create, I don't know what, new weapon. It was so striking. So, because when you go outside, you never know what will happen.
yeah, I suppose.
And the heart just, what is this? The heart just bounce like, and
So something blew up,
yeah. And
shook the ground.
yes, we didn't see, but you could feel the concussion, and all the birds, all the street were just bouncing.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
you didn't expect it. You have to go to do something, and just this is what you meet. And I call it mechanical life, because this is what people do. They want to create bombs, to sell bombs. I don't know what they do. So, but suddenly to be here with you and to listen to your heart, it's a, how do you say, therapeutic experience, because you don't
Yeah,
need to protect yourself from falling bombs, or I don't know what it
therapy.
is.
Yeah. So therapy
Yes,
from
because
that kind of
there is no
world.
threat. There is no threat of worldliness, of bombs, of traffics, of people go out with the street with their cars with full volume, or suddenly they drive fast or stop fast or do the piazza, the circle of the road. They take it too fast, and they found themselves with the cars hanging on a traffic light because they took it too fast. And suddenly you just can't be with friends. This is sanity. What is going? We just came out. It was just insane what is happening outside.
Yeah.
And those classes, those years of teaching those frontal classes was a fruit of not being able. It was like a fruit of studying. Inside study many nights for a couple of years, and so the text and the sages, because it is impossible. This was my conclusion. It is impossible to live outside. I mean, you can. This is act, like Shakespeare says. The whole world is a stage. So you go out, you do things because we have to go to offices and do things. But a part of it, what is not necessary to do outside, is holy. And all of those studies were managing to go out to you because I understood it, and I used to learn inside all the time, and suddenly there was an audience. I could not keep it anymore inside. I told Andrei I just can't, and it just speak. It will be heard. And then because to lose those precious moments of our lives, something out there, mechanical happenings. It is every life of a human being, of a plant, of a tree, of a cat. It's holy. So why to throw it out there? People always look to gather money and to put it on a bank account, and this is defined well, so well standing in life. But we don't take into consideration the moments, the seconds that we experience this miracle, and we don't count it in a plus, so to speak, in our bank inside. People just look into a sad paper, and a sad paper or a sad web page. How much people worth is how much currencies they have. It's not right. It's wrong. It's a lie. Because to live life through this lens of what currency is written on a page somewhere, we can breathe, we can walk, we can sing, we can have appreciation for a wave, for a cat. This is wealth, yes?
It is.
To be with friends, Nobody comes here and threaten us that if you will not do because how the world outside is working, if you don't bring a certain outcome, there is no salary or there is no relation, and always beating it's not enough, and always judgment to put people down, that they will not lift their head to see what is above them. As long as person is being beaten down, he will keep his head down, but never will lift his head and his eyes to the heavens to see what is up there. So there's a lot up there, infinite wealth.
Yeah.
And for this reason, we are gathering here to celebrate this celebration of life.
Yeah. And these have been designated in a way as holy days as well, haven't they?
Yes.
Starting with Rosh Hashanah.
Yes.
And then how does that work again, Eddie? With like the 10 days and
10 days between.
trumpet?
Yes, there is Rosh Hashanah, and then 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. And after Yom Kippur, at the end of Yom Kippur, like Saturday night. So Yom Kippur night, already people pull the first stand base for Sukkah, for the tabernacle. They start building the tabernacle, the Sukkah, the hut, the gazebo already at Yom Kippur's night when it's over. So it's quite hectic because people are fasting. Some people, if it's not 50 degrees Celsius, because it's impossible not to drink anything.
Yeah.
And then they eat something, and then when the stars are coming, meaning when the stars are coming out and the moon, it's the ending. There's a shofar calling. There's redemption, this sense of redemption, and then people are just starting being active again, not to lose any moment, and to build a sukkah. Yes, and they have 4 days, and then let's say 4 days between Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and the Tabernacle Chag Sukkot, and they sit 7 days in the sukkah, and then the 8th day there's a celebration, the Simchat Torah, the happiness of the Torah, because in the 8th day, after sitting 7 days in the sukkah, or 7 is like nature, like 7 days of the week in time and space, and then comes the 8th day, or like Weinrich speaks about the 8th day, the Messiah day, and then the 8th day, starting reading the Torah. Yes.
Start reading the Torah.
From
The
Bereshit
57 or 53 portions,
yeah, they start again.
right?
Yes.
With the 53 portions.
Yes, but Simchat Torah, the 8th day of Sukkot, there is a celebration, the happiness of the Torah. People take the Torah, the book, which is in a cabinet, is like in a little house, and people go out. It's a heavy thing to lift. Not usually men that lift it. It's like a huge. It's not easy. I never managed. I never even remotely got closer. But in this day, they're opening the holy, let's say, Aron HaKodesh, the holy cabinet, and they take the books. Each book is in a special house from wood and ornaments, and they take the book, I mean the man, and they can take it out of the synagogue to the court when the public is in the court, and they dance with the Torah. So meaning there's a happiness.
And this is like an official book, like one book that everybody celebrates it.
One book
is that what it is?
It is like
a formal one.
No, it's 1 second. It's the 5 books of Moses are called Torah.
Right.
And it is written in handwriting and a scroll, and this scroll is in a house. It's like a column. It's the half of the size of a man, something like this. And when the men, they take it out. Yes. And there's a great happening, because there's like gathering. The Torah and humanity are basically one, because usually the Torah is in secret, in the holy place behind the curtain. But in this day they take it, and there's, in a way, the Torah and humanity is one in this day.
On the 8th day.
Yes.
And it's quite a heavy scroll, you say.
Yes.
At the size of a man.
Yes. And they dance with the Torah. The scroll itself is in a house, and above the house there's like decoration of pomegranate from silver or from gold. Yes. And the Torah inside in the scroll is written by hand. Each book, Torah book, is $50,000 or so. This is why it's so special, because they don't take it, to be able, It is made by hand, and the person who writes the Torah with an ink, he has to to baz before to bathe in water, clean up, and to dip a few times in water before he touches the ink and the feather. It takes 1 year, sometimes 3 years, just to make one, to prepare
to prepare
original.
one of these?
Yes, yes.
So more people, like a lot of different people have one.
It is
Is
usually
that the way it is?
by one. I think there is a person called author, Sofer, and
Hmm.
he is a special author that he only does this. He only writes
Oh,
the Torah, and he writes mezuzah, the little how do you say, the little houses that people put on the door frame as a blessing. So this is what he does. And he
huh.
writes also the tefillin. So this is what he does. This is he will do all of
That's
his
his
life.
life purpose. That's his
Yes,
only life purpose
yes,
is that.
yes,
Wow, what a consecration.
yes,
That is
Bef-
complete consecration.
yes.
And what were you going to say?
It's a devotion. They have to be clean so much. They cannot touch
Ceremonially. They have to
again.
be ceremonially clean. They have to be
They
washed and
yes,
purified.
they cannot touch the. Yeah. I saw even once in synagogue, because what happens at this time of the year, there is they complete the fifth book of Moses, Deuteronomy,
Uh-huh.
and they have to return to Genesis. So since the whole Torah, you can imagine, it's written in one how do you say, scroll. When
Yeah.
we finish, so Deuteronomy is the last left side of the scroll, meaning imagine in your mind that you see one piece of paper as a scroll. On the right, it
Yeah.
starts with Bereshit and it ends
Yeah.
in Deuteronomy. But we cannot click a button. We have
With the last letter, Lamed.
yes, with the last letter Lamed, and we have to start with Bet, and they have to scroll by hand from
For a whole year.
the whole year, and they do, but they never touch. I saw how they do it in synagogue, because they have to move it by hand to scroll it back from Deuteronomy again to Bereshit, to the bed. So they take a piece of fabric, they dress their fingers, they never touch the Torah with bare hands. If a man reads
Huh.
in the Torah, there's a silver, how do you say, pointer from, like a pointer, not a man's bare hand, never. There's a pointer, 20, 30 centimeters from silver. It's like an ornament. And they point and they read. But when they have to scroll back, they never touch even the foil. The foil of which the Torah is written is from a deer skin. So they never touch it with bare hands. They put like fabrics on their hands, or not even gloves, but special fabric. And
Huh.
their finger is moving through the fabric, not to touch the paper or the deer skin.
Oh.
And it takes time. And I saw them just moving by hand 1 year. Yes, I was in synagogue to learn. So I saw how they
Wow.
move it by hand, like took, they move
Uh,
it back until they
You saw
scroll.
this process firsthand.
Yes, yes,
Huh. And they just, so they must have a timing to everything then, if they want to be completed like right now at this time of the year with the last letters in Deuteronomy,
yes.
then
Everything
they've
is,
got to start all over
yes,
and do another one. Is that what you're saying?
yes, yes. When
And they'll be doing that for another year.
yes,
Go
when,
ahead, Eddie.
when you look at the calendar, already now there is like,
Yeah.
they say on every Shabbat, on every weekend, which portion they gonna read. It's already there. So this is how we are following it. And there is a preparation for the start. And the person who has this, let's say, honor or respect to read Bereshit from the beginning, that he will start
Mhm.
after the 8th day of Sukkot, because the 8th day is a celebration. And
So, like the seventh day, then is that when the last letter is written? Is that how it works?
not quiet. Yeah,
Okay, how does
you
it?
could say that it is between. Yes, because I can look one here and I can tell you about the weekly portion. How does it go? There is a week. Second. There is a last weekly portion which is called Vezot HaBracha, and this is the blessing, which is still the book of Deuteronomy, and then starts Bereshit. But between the end of Deuteronomy and Bereshit, there is Simchat Torah, meaning the happiness of the Torah and the tabernacle. Between those two things, how does it really fit? I can write you in a letter.
Yeah. Well, I was I was just trying to understand,
What?
like the break. You say on the eighth day, um, there's a rest or celebration
Yes.
of the Torah, and then this writing resume after the rest.
In the 8th day, there's a celebration.
Yeah, celebration.
There's a celebration. People are dancing with a book, like taking it
Yeah, with
outside.
the book. Yeah,
With the
because it's
book,
complete,
it is complete. Yes, it
and
is
they're
complete.
celebrating and they're dancing
Yes,
for that day.
yes, yes. And
And then the next day,
the next weekend, on the next Shabbat, they
yeah,
start reading the Bereshit, portion
they
Bereshit.
start with that again.
Yes, and the man who has the right, how do you say, the honor to read Bereshit from the beginning, he is called the
Yeah.
groom of Bereshit.
Oh,
Chatan Bereshit, the man who has the honor. And people are really anxious to be Chatan Bereshit, the groom of Bereshit.
they
Because
are.
to start, to have a fresh start. Yes, yes. It's a lot of honor. They really cry for yes, because the Torah is the bride. Yes, and there the man is
The
is a
groom.
yes, companionship. Yes, a groom. People pay a lot for this opening. Some people pay in
They,
money. They buy the righteousness. Yeah.
oh, they buy the righteousness.
Yes.
Huh,
they do. Yeah, they do.
okay. Oh, that's quite an eye-opening description about all of this. Huh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. The dedication and the consecration and all of that is really something.
There's this in
There's
the air.
nothing like it in the
No,
world.
no.
There's nothing, nowhere else like that.
Yes, and people come and cry, and I mean, you can understand, because there's always, when there's a new year comes, and especially those days, between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, Atonement, and then Sukkot, Tabernacle, you feel a new season is coming. It's autumn in the North Hemisphere, yes, and there's a renewal in reading the Torah, and people have hopes. And this is interesting, because when you share a space, which is considered to be accepted when people are praying there, regardless of who they are or where they come from. The hopes of people, the feeling, the sentiments is also in the air, meaning not just in people's heart, which is contained in a body. It is in the air, and you feel it.
Yeah.
And you feel it because
Yeah.
even if they don't cry, you feel that they have something, that they have hopes, and this is quite interesting. Quite interesting.
It is. We in the Christian tradition do communion or the Lord's Supper, and that has a kind of a similar effect of when you participate. There's a cleansing, there's a renewal, a remembrance of your mikvah or your baptism, the cleansing, the washing away of impurity. And this is like a renewal of that experience when you participate in it. And there was a retired preacher who was attending the congregation I was serving years ago, and he tuned me into. He said, "Pay attention to after everybody's had communion, because at the time, people are meditating, they're reflecting, they're thinking of forgiveness, they're thinking of new beginnings, they're thinking of hope." And he said, "Pay attention to right after that." He said, the atmosphere will be so peaceful and so cleansed. Not just the fact of, like you said, Eddie, that each heart is doing something, but that the room itself, the atmosphere has an effect in it. He said it's just such a beautiful, wonderful thing that happens. He tuned me into that, and I appreciate it, because I became aware of what he was talking about. And then he said, then somebody will have a negative thought and something, blah blah, and it just kind of disappears after that. It's short lived. But one time on a Good Friday service, I just read. I read the passages of the crucifixion to the small group of people that were gathered that night, and at candlelight along with it. And the feeling of goodness was so pronounced. It was unexpected. I wasn't anticipating it. I was just going through a plan, and the feeling of goodness was so pronounced I could feel it. And then after I was done, everybody just sat in silence for several minutes. And then one of the elders came to me after the service and he said, "Did you notice that?" And I knew what he was asking, but I said, "Notice what?" He said, "There was just this goodness feeling that was so strong that nobody wanted to move." I said, "Yeah, I noticed it, but I just wanted to hear you say about it." But when you say, I can relate to what you're talking about, Andy. When you say people come with hopes and there's a new beginning or a new start, and surrounding the Torah, and it's good. It's good for people. Good for them to do that, to cleanse and renew.
It is true, because what makes this feeling so good is when people are pulling back and they give respect to the Torah. They have still a space to something beyond themselves, and if you go now, usually to daily activity in the city, you don't feel it so much because the air is cluttered with what people want to get
Mhm.
from life, from the city, from the targets. Only if you go far away into nature on the Carmel Mountain Reserve, far away,
Mhm.
so you can feel it, the natural holiness from the nature, from the trees and
Yeah,
plants.
yeah.
But what is interesting when people they if they already appear in synagogue, they dress also differently. They give respect in their dressing. They
More modest.
already, yes, but yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
Not just modest, but it's not a sports dressing. It's dressing with space that has air between layers of clothes. Not just everything tight like nylon of chewing gum, just with no air. And if they're already doing their way to the synagogue, so they prepare the heart to go there. So there is a space in the heart which is not only themselves. And when you collect few people like this, regardless of their age or
Hmm.
status, economical status,
Hmm.
or their region of which
Hmm.
they come, because Israel is a place of immigrants,
Hmm.
those drops are being gathered together, and then you feel it in the air.
Yeah, yeah. I think that kind of gathering with human beings is probably the most powerful experience one
Yes.
can have. When you're alone out in nature, that can be very powerful. And when you're alone with God's word, meditating on it and reading it can be so powerful. It makes you want to fall flat on the ground sometimes. It can be that powerful. But when you're in a community of people and their hearts are open, um, that affects the atmosphere too. And everybody can feel it. When they wouldn't sense that or feel that just alone. I think the Lord really wants us to be in community. It When you read the Torah, you see that He's constantly trying to create a community, gather a people, a holy people, that He desires this fellowship. And that when everything is cleansed and everything is focused and just right, and the Spirit can come and people can be blessed and the peace is there. It's actually something that's felt. And it's not just for the sake of feeling it. Um, Otherwise, it's just another pleasure or something of the earth. But it's really for the sake of, at least at least as I'm expressing it here, it's for the sake of awe, like awe of God's presence, awe of what He's created, awe of what He's made, and of what we are. And not just what human beings are, but just what this whole experience here is. It's dynamic, but we can have our eyes closed and our hearts shut and completely ignore it or miss it. And basically, that's happening on a daily basis, as you described, Eddie. People's hearts are shut, their spiritual eyes are closed, and they're on a mission to create weapons, bombs, or on a mission to destroy somebody or something. Or maybe not to that extreme, even. It can be just on a mission to get that loaf of bread from the store before somebody else or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
They're in a rush, they're in a hurry. That's why they're coming up to the stoplight at 80 miles an hour. They're trying to get ahead of everybody else to their agenda. And at that point, there's a different vibe. There's a different kind of a thing going off into the environment, and it creates tension, tension and anxiety, and, I think that's also a thing that people can feel too. If it's like, in America here, we have this thing called Black Friday. It's not what it used to be because of the online shopping and stuff like this, but it used to be that people would gather the day after Thanksgiving to get their shopping list, their Christmas presents acquired, with all the bargains and deals at the malls, stores that were going to open well before sunrise. And people literally camp outside the stores all night to be first in line so that they can make sure that they can get that discounted TV or whatever the latest technological attraction is that their kid wants. And there's a vibe. I've never been in that, but I can just tell, being around that sort of thing, that there is this vibe of everybody's feeling the same thing. I gotta get this thing. They're all feeling it, and what happens is, then the doors opens and they rush in and they trample over. They actually destroy other human beings trying to get in there, and it happens at concerts and stuff too. But something that's made bigger than life, something that people think they gotta have. So there's those two contrasting things, and what the Lord wants is the beautiful side of it to prevail, and I believe it will prevail, because the Bible says, describes it, that it's going to be like a stone or a pebble, the kingdom of God, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, or like Ezekiel's temple, it's going to be like a little trickle that comes out of the temple, but it's going to become a river, and it's going to catch up everything along the way. Eventually, it's going to get deeper and deeper, wider, and or the stone's going to be like a mountain before long, and basically people's thoughts are going to be transformed. What you taught us about I guess, is it the word har? But
Yes.
the mountain
Yes.
is really the thoughts. It's really the way people think about things. And what's been described today is the sacredness, that there's a sacredness in each moment. The moment of quietness, or the moment of reflection, or the moment of friends, or the moment of the last letter being written on the scroll, the Lamed. And then it takes us back to Bet, which, Lev, we get the word heart, right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Lev, heart.
Yes.
So he's after our hearts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear friends, Eniola, Deco, Felipe, Jeff, and I would like to wish you Shana Tova, a very good year with promises, with fruitful dreams and hopes and love. Thank you so much.
Amen. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Etienne friends. Shana Tova to all.
Shana Tova. Thank
Shana
you.
Tova. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.